Hi guys, welcome back to another session with Elle and myself in our coaching conversations. This is session 4. So if you've missed session 3, 2, and 1, please check back on our YouTube channel to engage in those conversations with us. My name is Richard Grossi and I am an ontological coach in Durban, and I'm here with my friend Elle in the UK.
Hi Rich, good to see you again. I'm Ali Gordon. I'm a leadership and performance coach. And
Awesome.
I'm based in North London.
Cool. So Elle, you had an awesome topic suggestion last week, and so I'm going to give it over to you to introduce.
Thanks, Rich. So yeah, I thought we'd love to talk about values. We were having sort of a conversation just off camera about values and how important they are. For me, they are fundamental to quite a lot of the early work that I do with clients. They act, when I understood my values, they really acted as my sort of North Star, and how I kind of lived and worked in my life. And you normally have 3 to 5 values. And I think that it's in terms of just living your life, if you're not living by your values, that you can feel very, very uncomfortable. So I'll give you an example. If you cite family as a value, and you're not seeing your kids or your family as much as you want to, or you're making decisions over your family, you will start feeling uncomfortable about those things. And if you trace back and really look at somebody's values, who's their top value is family, that is where a lot of the sort of uncomfortableness is coming. So, and they also lead into the kind of vision you want to create for your life, the kind of partner you want, the kind of career you want, and the kind of friendships you want. You often find that you're drawn to very similar people with similar values. And if you're in a relationship, perhaps, that is not got the same values as you, that can also feel uncomfortable because you're striving for different things. So, I mean, how's that showing up for you in your life, Rich, in terms of values?
Yeah, no. I mean, I love this topic because it's so true. And, since we started chatting about it, I've been thinking a lot about it. And what I've discovered is in my life, my value system has changed as I've grown older. They're not the same values that I had when I was younger. And it's been an interesting process to actually map it out. And what I found really interesting, and despite values being such a fundamental part of coaching, I don't think that I'd actually sat down and caught up with myself, like up till here, like, hey, listen, what's going on for you? Because yeah. I mean, I think when I was younger, when I was younger, it seemed that I inherited a lot of the values from my parents and the people I looked up to and admired, etc. And as I grew, like to a teenager and older, etc., a lot of those values were not in alignment. And I realized, that they caused a lot of internal strife for me. A lot of chaos was going inside because in a way, I felt that I was kind of betraying what I had been brought up to believe. And it's like, okay, where are you now? You've rebelled, and you're like being so like just completely off the wall. And this whole thing really came to light when I realized that in order to experience a sense of freedom and authenticity in my life, to establish my own values was a prerequisite to that. So it's a fantastic topic and a very, very valid one. And I think, for me, Elle, it was a wonderful exercise to sit down and say, okay, where am I now? And just look back and in a way, just see the growth, see the independence. And I loved that. When I did this exercise, the values of independence came up quite strongly. Mind, body, and soul, and the whole kind of the wellness came across. And that was never a concern of mine when I was younger. I mean, come on, we know I was an addict. So, I mean, none of that stuff was even a consideration. And, it was very interesting when I was thinking about this because while I was in addiction, I mean, there was complete strife and turmoil within my life and within my spirit. And I realized that, it was because I was not in alignment with the fundamental values that made Richard. And those were honesty and integrity and all of those things, because in addiction, you very often, you have to wear various masks. And a lot of it's got to do with manipulation and deceit and lying to others, to yourself, etc. And it was when I came into recovery, you kind of feel this massive growth spurt. And I'm not sure if many people realize, well, hey, actually, you're catching up. You know, your things are coming into alignment again. And that sense of freedom is that alignment. And it's the peace that it brings is incredible. Yeah, so that's me.
I love that, Rich. And you're so right that your values change over time. Of course they do. You know, when you're in your 20s, is health a huge value? No, it's perhaps not. For some people it is, but for other people it's other things. It's going out relationships, it's having fun, it's all those things and stuff. And as you get older, of course, your values follow you. And you're so right that I think a lot of what was going on for you as well, obviously with the addiction, was you weren't living in alignment with your values. And that's what happens with so many people. And I was talking to someone this morning, actually, having a coaching session this morning, and they've been really struggling to understand their values, and we do a process just to kind of really to pull those values out, and then put a nice sentence underneath what those values mean to them, because it's all very well saying family, but what does family mean to you? What does success mean to you? What does money mean to you? So we were doing that process. She was sort of struggling with the statements underneath, and they said, I don't know who I am. I don't know who I am. I think I've really started to realize. And I think once you start to really get into the values, then that journey begins of really understanding what makes Rich, what makes Ali. I was the same, you know, when I looked at after my breakup 2.5 years ago, and my father's death, I really went and looked at my values. So I really wanted to understand what was going on for me. And family was absolutely the top one. So that's why I became a coach, because it meant I could create my own time and my own space. And I could be there for my children. Whereas in the hospitality businesses that I was leading, I just didn't have the time for them. And that's why I wasn't enjoying it. That's why I felt uncomfortable. So yeah, I think it's really, really, really key to understand those values. The other thing I think which might help our audience a bit is just to understand how you can find those values as well. I'll just give you some examples. You know, what do you love talking about? What do you always make time for? What do you like Zen-like order about? Like a Zen-like order for me is that I like to have my health and fitness and the meditation in the morning. The other one, a great thing as well, is what are you surrounding yourself with? You know, if you look around your living room or your bedroom, whatever, have you got some self-development books? Have you got beautiful pictures? Jump on Amazon, see what you're buying for the last 12 months. It just gives you a great example of kind of where your values are. So I think, yeah, you can go and really, really find those. But it's so interesting how you sat down and just worked them through. And how did you do that?
Well, it was interesting. It was just because for me, what I did, I'm a very kind of a feeling type of a person, you know, and I sat down and I just did a bit of a replay about things that made me feel good, things that didn't make me feel good, you know, and I was like, then I started to question, you know, for me, coaching is all about asking the right questions to ourselves. So what is it about that situation? What is it about that person? What is it about me in that situation that just didn't feel right? And then why? Let's look at that, you know, let's kind of just defrag that and let's put the pieces back together and see where, I don't know, a piece of the puzzle is not actually making a picture. And so that was a great starting point for me. And then, you know, then I started to, you know, I love this type of stuff. So I just jump in. Then I'm like, what is it about other people that I do admire? What are aspects of other people that I admire? And I looked at that and I thought, well, you know, that is important to me. And that's why I admire it about it. Where in my life am I incorporating this or not? And then I also started, sorry guys, my brain just works 1,000 miles an hour. And then I started to think about, you know, just what I do on a daily basis and a weekly basis. Because what's really important to me as a person is creativity. And whether that comes out in writing, I play the piano. So where am I not making room for that? And I realized that in a long time, I haven't made enough time for me to sit down and either just play at the piano, which I normally used to do for hours and escape, or sit down and write, be creative, etc. And I've been feeling like, you know, for the last couple of weeks that, hey, you know, something's missing, but I'm not quite sure what it is. So it was a great way for me to just kind of look back and say, okay, well, what are you not doing that you really value in your life? You know, what is it that drives you? And it was those things that weren't there. So they don't have to be hectic stuff. Like everybody thinks of, okay, what are my values? Oh my Lord, this is going to be like a huge academic type of episode. It's not. Actually, we are like intrinsically in tune with our values, but it's about asking ourselves the right questions to define exactly what they are, and be adventurous on that journey and be brave and just have fun with it. And I think the most important thing for me in the sense of freedom, and I've got a great example, we discussed last week about me coming out of the closets. And there was a large period of time in my life where I believed that, from an inherited value system, that homosexuality was not right. And while I was battling against, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? I realized that, I couldn't get rid of this feeling inside me. And I realized that those values were not my values. And when I stepped forward into my own self, into my, my self-authoring side of Richard, I was able to step forward to that freedom because I was living my truth. I was being authentic for the first time. And so that also came to mind. And I realized what a pivotal piece of my life that actually was to incorporate. And so we may be identifying aspects of our life thinking, we really must make time for this. We really should do this or take care of X, Y, and Z. But it's important to recognize that those little pieces of the puzzle make up a picture. And if there are pieces missing, the reflection of the picture is not going to be whole. It's going to be fragmented. So that's kind of the journey that I went on in the last week or two.
I think it's such a beautiful example of somebody that's just not living by their values or not putting their values into their life and why you felt so uncomfortable. I think that's just brilliant. The fact that you weren't playing the piano, the fact that wellness is so important to you, and then the drugs impacted on that stuff as well. So yeah, that is the thing. I think and you can map those on to the career you choose. So if you're in a really uncomfortable situation at work, there's all sorts of things going on. But if you really look at the values of that business, the values of the people around you, and your own personal values, you can see why it feels really uncomfortable for you. And you can then make a choice, say, look, this isn't the place for me because I'm not living by my values, and leave. Or you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable with those things. Now, I know I'd rather go for the former, but that is a choice that people get to make. It's the same if you're in a relationship. It's so easy if you've got a slightly more sort of dominant partner to take on their values and live by their values, and then realize, hang on, I'm not very happy in this relationship because you are living someone else's values. So yeah, I think you're such a great example, Rich, of somebody that's now living their values and he's got comfortable in that. And until you really do the work on that, everything else that sort of comes after that, your vision, your goals, and all the things that make up really being able to step into a really happy and fulfilled life, you've got to get your values understood and absolutely right, and own them and make sure they are yours and not somebody else's.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, we can very often be buried under the expectations of others and then try and mold ourselves accordingly, and then wonder why throughout our journey of life that there is just no kind of a sync between body, mind, and soul. And it's again, like, are we speaking the same language? Is our mind and our body and our soul speaking the same language? And what we believe is what we'll experience in life and how we show up in life. So if those beliefs are out of alignment with your core values, if your core actions, etc., there's going to be a kind of a no sync. It's going to be like this. The puzzle's going to be like this. No picture's going to be there. So it's a wonderful exercise for people to kind of look at and say, okay, well, what are my values? And it's a sort of bad thing. I mean, for me, I found it very liberating to look at how my values had changed, as I said earlier on, because as I said again, it symbolized for me there was a growth, because it's amazing that, I realized when I was younger and I was looking at those values that most of them were formed out of complete ignorance, just thinking I need to do what's right, but according to who? According to who is that right? Is it according to friends, parents, people that you've heard speak on TV and you've just taken that on? Your value should be set according to you, not according to others. And I think that is a wonderful place to start, to find that sense of freedom and to walk in that alignment with your true values, and that your behavior and your actions all speak one language. So that's kind of my take on that.
No, I agree. And as I said right at the beginning, they just act like your North Star. They will guide you to make the best decisions for you as well, which they obviously are starting to do for you as well. And you're right that we may be hanging on to values that don't serve us anymore. The values that we brought in from our 20s, our 30s, and the values from our parents or our mentors, or how we feel the world should be. And actually, when you really look deep inside, go, actually, those are not values that I align with. So yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I think that's a really, really great example of it. Anything else to add, Rich, on that?
No, not much. I think it's a wonderfully rich exercise to get involved. And like, guys, for those of you who are watching, one of the main purposes that Elle and I do these coaching conversations is to empower listeners to become self-authoring. And learning about our own values is about learning about our identity, the fundamental aspects of what makes us us. And it's so important for us to go on this journey in order to become self-authoring. Ask ourselves some really important questions, like, who am I? And that's a wonderful place to start. So if you're looking towards wanting to experience a sense of freedom and understanding of yourself, take a great look at your values and see what's missing, see what's not, and then start mapping it all together from there. And I mean, it really, as I said earlier on, for me, it wasn't a rigorous exercise. It was a wonderful exercise that I stepped towards and went with a mood of curiosity. It wasn't like, I need to get this right. It was like, I wonder what's going on here. And wonderful things came out of it. Things like little gaps. I said, the music, the creativity, I'm going to take care of that. I'm taking care of that at the moment. And it's been awesome. So yeah, that's what I kind of would just like to leave as a parting word. Yeah. And anything that you would like to say?
No, I think you said it all, Rich. It's just so important. It's so important. I can't emphasize enough that knowing your values is so important for almost every part of your life. If you can get under your values and really understand, they will show up and really support you and guide you like the North Star in all parts of your life. So yeah, I would encourage anyone watching just to go away and do that exercise.
Awesome. Okay, thanks very much. I mean, a brilliant topic. Thanks for introducing it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, man. So guys, I hope that you really enjoyed this coaching conversation today. And as I said earlier on, if you've missed any of the first 3 that have been already put up on our YouTube channel, please make sure to go and watch them and tune in and subscribe to watch more of us. We'll be doing these conversations each week where we look at interesting life coaching topics in order to empower people to become self-authoring. If you would like Elle and I to take on anything, please put it into the chat box and we will definitely look at it. But from me, Richard, until next week, great to see you guys again. Elle, nice to chat to you.
Yeah, great. And I'll see you next week. Looking forward to it.
Cool, man. Catch you later. Cheers.